present. Councillors, apologies. We do have an apology from Councillor Bronwyn Petrie. Can I have a mover and a seconder to accept that, please? Councillor Gary Berry, thank you. Second by Councillor Michael Petrie, thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Disclosures and declarations of interest, councillors. Any disclosures? No. Business arising. It is an extraordinary meeting. There would be no business arising from a previous meeting. Now we go into the to our item we're dealing with today. It's item GOV 31/19. It's operational plan for 2019-2020. Can I have a move and a second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Bob Rogan, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Greg Sawyer, and I thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. And I'll hand over to our wonderful staff to present this report. Thank you.
I'll say a few words. I can see Erica champing at the bit. The report is there for council, and what I'd like to do actually is congratulate both Erica and Paul for the amount of work they've put in developing this operational plan.
And noted, Colin.
Yeah. So I will hand over to Erica, and she'll actually take us through some of the submissions that we've received to this particular report, and then we can have some questions and comments later.
Thank you, Colin, and welcome, Erica, as always.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you. The purpose of this report is for Council to adopt Tenterfield Shire Council Operational Plan 2019-2020 as amended to include submissions following the public exhibition of the draft document from the 24th of April 2019 to the 22nd of May 2019, being 28 days as required under the Local Government Act, for inclusion with the current Tenterfield Shire Council Delivery Program 2017 to 2021. Council placed the draft operational plan, including the budget, revenue policy statement and fees and charges for 2019-2020 on public exhibition from 24th of April to 22nd May 2019. 14 community comments were received in total, with submissions being from one resident of Tenterfield Shire, the Mingoola Progress Association, Tenterfield RSL Sub-Branch and the Urbanville Progress on page 12 of the report in front of you. Councillors are required to review those submissions. Councillors did review a number of those submissions at a workshop prior to the service as opposed to running at a loss for the service. So it's not actually a profitable service with waste transfer stations and the provision of a waste disposal facility. So those were incremental increases. There is a charge that has been identified as $12.60, and that's between the 120 to 240 litre size, and then anything in excess of that is in fact a higher charge.
And obviously, if I can hop in there, councillor, and to you, Erica, what we're referring to as the bag fee is the liner bag that's in those bins, yes?
That's correct, Mr Mayor. If the liner bag is the same size as the bin, then that is the quantity of the garbage that's actually being disposed of.
Thank you. Just for some clarity, that's all. So we're all aware what we're talking about, not just a shopping bag. Councillor, did you have more, yes?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I take note of the explanation of the question I asked, and that's fine. But there's a little bit more I'd like to add, Mr Mayor, if I could. In fact, I'd like to make, I'd like to move an amendment to the recommendation, if that's appropriate time to do that now. And with the appropriate
Councillor, you have the
explanation.
opportunity, yes?
Okay. The incremental increase that staff have spoke about, I have trouble getting my head around what incremental increases we're actually talking about. The charges recommended here in this document represent an increase, as the Mingoola Progress Association pointed out in an email, of 125% for the smaller bins and 40% for the larger 240 litre bins. Now, the recommendation is to amend that the charges to reflect $12.60 across the board. Now, I know times have been tough for a lot of people, and it would seem that they'll probably continue to be tough for some time yet. Now, it's not the amount of money difference that I think people would be concerned about. It's more like a bit of a sticker shock effect when you go up there with a small bin and someone said that's going to be $12.60. You can take a box trailer for $18.80. So I think the incremental effect that was mentioned should have been applied per litre. So I'd like to make a recommendation to amend the item 1 on the current recommendation, and the first dot point to read, waste fees for the bin or bag up to 120 litres shall be $8, and the 240 litre bin or bag $12.60. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
We'll just get this happening.
Before I ask for a second, I'm just making sure that we're all on track here, councillor, and I have no problems with the amendment there.
Can I just get clarification?
Yep.
So can you just tell me what was the change again, councillor Rogan?
I'd like to recommend bin or bag up to 120 litres, $8. And
Up to 120 litres.
yeah, $8, and from 120 litres to 240, $12.60.
Sorry, through you, Mr Mayor, where does the 120 litre fit? Because you've used up to and above. So which categories are it including in your calculations? $8 for 120,
Up to and including
Yep.
120 litres.
so 121 litres and above.
Just check that he's happy. That's all.
Thank you.
Sorry, no.
Just check that he's happy with.
Councillor, if you just check the wording of that up there. I will ask for a seconder actually before we continue. Councillor Tom Peters, thank you.
120.
Did be $8 and 240 shall be $12.60.
Up to and including 120 litres.
Up to and including. Yep.
And 240, yeah.
Out of respect, is a comment from our staff to do with that?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, didn't mean to distract. We were just noting in the fees and charges, there is a different rate for up to and including 80 litres of general waste disposal. And then there may be some confusion around the jump between 80 to the 120 to 240 litre. So that was where we were just checking it for our own understanding there of the actual fees and charges.
Right. Erica, not being lazy, can you share that with us, what the cost of that is, please?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, yes.
No, that's fine.
So,
Just for the benefit of
that's right.
our
So, and I'm
councillors.
on page 60 of 68 in the fees and charges document at the back of the report of the plan. So if you come down to the general waste section on that page, you will see the second entry, garbage bag or bin less than 80 litres is $3.20. The garbage bag or bin 80 litres to 120 litres is in fact
60.
60.
Of
60, I apologise.
Of page 60,
Eric, I
at the
thought she
fees
said
and charges attachment at the back.
Councillor Forbes, at the back, there's two sections in that.
So you've got two
60 of
attachments.
the table, yeah, that's.
That's it, page
60 of 68. So Erica, so we're all on the same page again, run
Sorry,
the general waste?
Yeah, page 60. So if we have a look at the general waste table,
Yep.
that's down in the bottom section of the page.
Yes,
You will actually note that a garbage bag or bin less than 80 litres in size is $3.20.
yep,
You will note a garbage bag or bin 80 litres to 120 litres is $5.10.
yep,
And you will note that the garbage bag will be in 120 litres to 240 litres is $12.60. So there is in fact a fee in there already of $5.10, 80 litres to 120 litres. So that's why the 120 litre to 240 litre general waste bin or bag fee for $12.60 is in fact what is reflected in the fees and charges. You already have a fee that is less than that for 80 litres to 120 litres at $5.10.
yep.
inclusive.
So that's inclusive between, so 80 to 120 litres was already covered, up to the 120 litre amount is covered.
You're asking an extra $2.
Thank you, Erica. Councillor, out of respect, and it has been moved and seconded because it's a item that you're brought forward. Does that change your thinking with that?
I have no problem, yes, I have no problem with the up to 80 litres, from 0 to 80 litres, remaining at the recommended fee in the fees and charges.
Yep.
But I'd like from 120 litres upwards to 240 to be set at, hang on, what have we got here? Just bear with me for a sec.
So at the moment, without jumping in, councillor, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're referring to, that is, in our general waste, that's $5.10. What you're referring to? And your recommendation is wanting to make that $8.
80, no, leave it as it is, and 120 to 240
Yeah,
to drop back to $8.
not $12.60.
Yes.
So does that change your recommendation, your amendment? And
General
240.
waste bin
So
or bag
just make
fee.
So we take out up to and including. So we make that, we go back to the one.
Well, if it was to read the 120 to 240,
Yes.
general waste bin or bag
Yes,
shall be $8. All we're doing is changing the $12.60 to $8, as per this recommendation and currently in the book.
Through Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
question.
question from our CE
Through
to our
Mr.
councillors?
Through Mr. Mayor, that would need to have a less than 240 if it was to line up with the table, because there's a comment there, garbage bag or bin 240.17. So we can't have two 240 prices listed in the fees and charges.
Mr Mayor, I guess what they're saying there is if you take a 240 litre bin to the dump, it's not full, you still get charged $12.60. Well, I'm got a problem with that.
That's correct.
Maybe we should put from 121 litres.
120 to 240. And
General waste bin or bag shall be $8.
so the garbage bin or bag, 80 litres will be 1 to, in the original fees and charges here, that it says garbage bin, or the way I understand it, bin, bag or bin, 120 litres, 80 to less than 120. And the next one says 120 to 240.
To less than 240.
To less than 240, so
Yeah.
we should make it 240.
Right,
Through Mr
Yeah.
Mayor, then we'd have two 240s in the fees and charges though, because it's either got to be less than 240 or the garbage bag or bin at 240 has got to be taken out. We can't have both.
all right.
If I could ask.
Yeah, no, of course you can.
Okay, where it says 120 to less than 240, it's currently, the draft is $12.60.
Yep.
Then the next line says garbage bag or bin 240 litres is $17.
Yep.
So,
Well, why can't we garbage bag or bin 120 to 240, 1260, and then we take out the next line?
through Mr Mayor, because at the moment, the cost for up to 240 was $17.60, but above 120, and then 240 was, $12.60, and then 240 was $17, yeah.
So 120 to less than 240, 1260, and you have to leave the 240 in there at 17. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying it's up to council, but there's actually a line for less than 240 and a line for 240.
Well, the line for less than 240, that's the one I'm recommending reads $8.
Which is 1260 now, councillor.
Yes.
Okay, so go back to your amendment. Is that need to be changed there to what you originally had?
Yeah, where it's got 120 to 240, should have a little less than 240 on it.
With the little arrow thing, triangle, whatever it is, asterisk. Less. We'll just write less.
Yeah, that's better.
Yep.
That's clearer.
Righto. Less than 240, general waste bin or bag fee shall be $8. Before I go to any councillors for responses, any comment from staff there to do with that? Okay. The amendment's been moved by councillor Rogan and seconded by councillor Tom Peters. Oh, apologise.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. Look, the way those fees and charges have been scaled there, as Erica said, the incremental is based effectively on a litre basis. So, I mean, you can see there that the way they've got, you go for less from 120 litres to 240 litres. They're saying, you know, you've already allowed for, you know, the 120 litres in the previous amount. So they're looking for you're trying to recoup or allow for an amount of waste that's actually less than the full bin. Now, at the end of the day, what are we expecting our staff to do? To be looking in every bin all the time and you know, making this judgment call and having this negotiation out there as to what charge they should be doing. The ideal thing would be to just have, ideally, just have if you've got two bin sizes, if it's a 120 litre bin, you charge a 120 litre bin. If it's a 240 litre bin, you charge a 240 litre bin. That would be the ideal thing, but I think this is just leaving it open to a lot of discretion. And look, at the end of the day, we know that the operation is not making money, so it's obviously your call. But I don't know why we're going down the path of changing this. We're effectively we're not making money now, and I just can't see any benefit in what we're doing here. But your call.
Yep. Thank you, Andre, for your comments. Councillor Rogan, did you want to speak to your amendment? I
Yeah.
apologise.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I don't think.
I'll just stop you, councillor, for a minute. Councillor McNish, I'll just do this and then I'll go to you. Is that all right? Okay, thank you. I apologise, councillor. Councillor Rogan.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I don't think I'd have a problem if we just specified two separate bin sizes, but where I'm coming from is not how much money council's going to dip out on by dropping the price. It's showing a bit of empathy, I think, to the residents. That's what we're trying to achieve here. And this is one way we can do it, because the litre rate doesn't really stack up when you can take a trailer in there for $18.80. There's a lot of 120 litre bins worth of rubbish in a trailer. So, and all the residents are aware of that. So I think that the 40% increase that was originally recommended on the 240 is still a large percentage, but at least if that 40% was to be applied across all sizes, I mean, that's what I would support. And the $8 is roughly around on an average of around that 40% across the board. So that's the basic rationale behind my new recommendation. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Peters been the second. Did you want to speak to the amendment? Microphone, please, councillor.
I agree with Councillor Rogan that he said everything that I need to say, so I'm quite happy to second the
Thank you.
amendment.
Councillor McNish, I do apologise. I'll go to you now.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just think that this amendment was just going to muddy the waters, and I do agree with Andre that 120 or 240, set fee for each, and leave it at that. And that way there'll be no confusion. All the stuff about, oh, but if the 240 is not full, well, I guess you wait until it is full. And it comes back also to the fact that if you do recycle, you're not going to be charged that much anyway, because 80 to 90% of all rubbish is recyclable.
Good comment,
So
councillor.
I prefer just to leave it the way that Eric has put it down here, or the staff have put down here, and just go from there.
Yep.
So I'll be voting against the amendment.
Any others against would like to speak against the amendment? Councillor Michael Petrie?
I agree with John. I think the whole thing's pretty well worked out here, but I think on these charges here, this $3.20 I think we should just go to simple dollars, like $3.20. You got to muck around with change, and $5.10 and $16.40. I think you should just make it the round numbers, myself.
I think those figures are there, and I'll ask the staff to explain how we come up with those figures, councillor, but
when
good
you-
comment.
But when you get to the dump up there, and
Yeah.
when you get up there and you got to look for money, then I want an extra change and everything else. Just made round figures. I thought might be the simplest.
You're diving into the ashtray all the time, councillor.
There's no cigarettes in it yet.
Nor in mine. Reply from the staff, and councillor Very, then I'll go to you. You indicated? Yeah, just, did staff want to, the councillor Petrie's comments to do with the odd figures there?
So if I may, Mr Mayor, thank you, through you. Councillor, the way that the fees and charges change each year with certain categories, so you'll see a code next to each of the fees and charges, so that determines whether or not there is a set percentage at which council is limited in an increase or change in a fee, and it also determines if there is an actual percentage where council can have a little bit more leeway in terms of a change. So the percentage itself is then applied to the previous year's fees. So that's why it will be rare that we ever get a rounded number down to $1 or even a 50 cents. So
Thanks. Yes, of course you can, Colin.
And just of interest there too, one of the concerns that we do get from ratepayers obviously is some of those large percentage moves. So people will quite often say the percentage move of 100%, which is enormous. When we go back and look at that, sometimes that's 20 or 30 cents. So it just depends on how people are actually comparing some of those rates as well in terms of the movements. Most of the fees and charges now over the last 2 years, we've undergone a process of reviewing them and trying to line them up on that sort of cost recovery basis, or as a service aligned with the coding, as Erica has said. And as part of that, staff have been really entering a lot of the detail and doing a zero-based costing of a lot of those fees and charges to try and get us to a really accurate number of what it is costing us.
20 cents laying on the ground, you wouldn't even bother to pick it up.
Oh, geez, I would, councillor.
Should council wish to make a blanket ceiling that all fees and charges will not increase past the decimal point, I'm more than happy to implement that.
I'd like to do that.
We're doing, without confusing the issue, councillor, we just need to deal with this one. But councillor Petrie, out of respect, don't lose if you want to talk about that, that's fine. But we need to deal with this amendment. Councillors, well, I have had to move in second, obviously speaking for the amendment. I've had two speakers speaking against the amendment. Councillor Very, I'm asking for someone to be speaking for the amendment, actually.
No, I was against the amendment. I do see people have got, I commend Bob and Tom for having a bit of empathy for people in drought, but on the other hand, with the drought, people consume less, including me, so we haven't got quite as much rubbish.
Burn more, don't we, councillor? Councillor Murray, are you speaking for the amendment?
No,
Or against?
I'm simply asking a question.
Okay, I'll allow that, councillor. Yep.
Does the service attract a GST?
yes, so the fees and charges actually identify it does attract a GST, but it's inclusive.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors. Councillor Rogan, I'll close that now, but being the mover of the amendments, you want some closing comments?
Yep, thank you. I'll just be brief. I think 40%, as in the original recommended 240 litre bin increase is still a large percentage, but if that was applied across the board, I think council would win more friends and show a bit of empathy, and I think the goodwill would far outweigh any loss of dollars from dropping the price to $8 for the smaller sizes. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, councillors, the amendments there. The waste fees, that 120 or less than 240 general waste bin or bag fee shall be $8. All in favour of the amendment? Against? The amendment's lost, councillor. Councillor Petrie, out of fairness, that you indicated about a change to do with the actual fees.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to move that we just take them, make them full dollars or 50 cents. Like your $3.20, make that say $3 and $5, make it $5. Like $16.40, you'd make that $16.50. The other next one, $18.80, you could make that to $19. Just round them into 50 cents or round of dollars. Like you start looking at 20 cents and 30 cents and.
Councillor, be fully aware, and I'm just so you're aware, because, and all of us here, that we are dealing, and councillor, you're only referring to our general waste to that column? Okay, because it'll be all through this document. So I'm just trying to help you there with the 20 cents and 10 cents and 50 cents. I can guarantee you when you look through it. But I'm happy to just take that your amendment needs to clearly state that's just in the general waste on page 60. So that's what you're referring to. I'm trying to help you.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's when people go up there and get their cash out of their pocket.
Yep.
That's where you end up with the change. And
Okay,
that sort of thing.
so being the great businessman you are, councillor, that you're rounding it up to the for an example, the $3.20, you'll come back to $3. Is that what you're indicating?
Yeah,
But if it's close to 50 cents,
yeah,
you're going to round that up.
yeah.
Okay?
Like the $12.60, we make that $12.50. The $16.40, make that $16.50. The $18.80, make that to $19. Just make it round figures.
Can I,
Oh, dear.
councillor, I will ask for a second, who's raised a really good topic, I think. We need to thrash this out. So do we have a seconder there? You seconded councillor McNish? Thank you. And councillor, councillor Petrie, Nolan's just doing your amendment up there. Be happy that you're happy with the wording. I will go to our staff for some comment, if there is comment. We've got a question from our CE.
I suppose, and it
Then
is.
sorry,
sorry.
then I go to you, councillor McNish, being the seconder for some comment.
My question is, what's the sensitivity analysis with this? Meaning, it seems very simple when you're only dealing with half a dozen figures on a page, but multiplied by a huge number of transactions, what does it actually mean? And my two questions are, deep down, is that arbitrary? And the second thing is, how many people use FPOS now? I never use, whenever I can, I just use FPOS because I'm too lazy to go to the hole in the wall. And that question was either to FPOS in the transfer station. What about Tenterfield?
Well, I'll go to the staff for some answer those questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor, through
thank you, Erica.
you to answer the Chief Executive's query on that. So we receive a lot of small change. It is a long and laborious process because we don't have FPOS at our Urbanville, our Liston or Legume Waste Transfer Stations. We only have it at Tenterfield. Certainly a move towards rationalising the amount of cash handling, the money and actual change would certainly see savings in terms of personnel hours in having to manage that and handle it. eventually, you know, down the track, possibly 10, 20 years, we could even go to a totally cashless setup once we get telecommunications out at those sites. But Tenterfield, we do take a lot of cash as well as FPOS transactions.
Any other comment from our staff while we're on this topic? Kylie, thank you.
I think most of it's been covered. The only issue I have, of course, is the unintended consequence. So what I can't tell you, looking at this document right here, right now, is what impact that'll have on your revenue raised, and that needs us to go away and do some more figures. So by putting in that type of change, what I can't actually say is the volume of waste that would be collected under, say, the $5.10 charge, and what that would look like if we were to drop the 10 cents off or alternatively increase it. So it's a little bit challenging to try and do that on the fly, because I don't know how many, tons that actually relates to.
Councillor McNish, being the second of the amendment, you wish to speak?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I agree with the amendment. Answer to Kylie, I think what you gain on the swing, you lose on the roundabout, or vice versa. So by dropping a bit here, putting a bit on there, you'd probably be fairly revenue neutral. The only thing I would like to see, and I applaud the idea from Mike, is perhaps implement it from the next financial year to save everyone having to go back over this document here and rejigging it. If we deferred it for 12 months and included in the 2021 budget, and that would give the staff hurdles of time to get organised and do your analysis of what it's going to cost or what it's not going to cost and that sort of thing. So perhaps could I include that in the amendment, Mr Mayor, and just add that to it. And I think,
Being the mover, Councillor Michael Petrie, you happy with that change? Yeah. I commend you, Councillor, it's the experience you bring to this council with that, and it's a really good suggestion, actually, because that supports Councillor Petrie's idea, and it's very supportive over staff and the huge job that they've got to do. Yeah, I know you do. That's noted. Okay, we have two speakers for the amendment. Do we have any speakers against the amendment? And we are dealing with the current amendment up there with the add-on from Councillor McNish, which has been accepted by the mover. That won't come into the next financial year. You're speaking against, Councillor?
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to comment on it.
Yep.
There's, with the figures there's 3 that would have to be rounded down, so we'd lose 10, 10 and 20 cents. And there's 2 that'd be rounded up would be 20 cents and 20 cents gain, so it'd probably be pretty, depending on the tonnage people dump, that would be pretty revenue neutral.
Which supports Councillor McNish's comments. Councillor? Okay, councillors, if no more comment or speakers for and against, I will put the amendment. All in favour? Unanimous. Okay. Good conversation, councillors. Okay, councillors, any more questions to do with our with the operation plan to our staff? Councillor Very, you've indicated.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, there's one on page 69. It's only
59 or 69, councillor?
69.
69.
In the start of the book. In the 4-year delivery.
There's no 69, councillor.
4-year delivery.
It's.
Yeah.
Oh, apologise.
Yeah.
Yep. I need.
So 69.90.
Oh, okay.
In the first piece, 4-year delivery program, I'm just wondering if we're taking a lesson off Master Chef here. We've got a master pan there.
Right, councillor, with you now. So which part of this?
4-year delivery program, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th line down, 7th column down.
Oh, just with the typo.
Yeah, just a typo, that's all.
Yeah. Sure, that's not, councillor.
It's nothing but
because we haven't got Councillor Bronwyn here today, you've taken over that role, I see.
no,
Which is
no,
good,
it's just to show you I've read it.
Good, councillor. Erica.
If I may, Mr Mayor, through you, Councillor, we actually included this year in the resolution, in part 1 of the resolution, that corrections for typographic errors also be allowed. And so thank you very much for pointing that out.
Councillors, any other questions, comments to the report? Councillor Greg Sawyer, yes?
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and through you to whoever can answer it, probably Kylie. I have 2 areas that I'd just like clarified before I vote to approve it.
Which part of the report, councillor?
Well, it's just in there, mate. Mount Lindsay Road bin survey,
Yep.
first and foremost. we're copping flack again about it, and I just want to be assured that before we approve it, that we've got the survey completed accurately, even if that means delaying the shutting date and consideration, because we've got people complaining that they haven't got surveys, and others are saying that they should have got surveys, and some are saying they shouldn't have got. Last year, when this all started, we made a commitment as a council that would be a fair and open survey. And I think if we cut it off early while there's still, well, not early, on time, while there's still debate about people not actually receiving, I think we do need to extend with whatever impact that has on this. We can approve this with the ability to withdraw it or add it, whatever the case may be. The second one is, I note in here that on page 10 of the report, section 17 under borrows, the truck wash is included in borrowing 1.83 million, not just for the truck wash, but for others. Given that that is still controversial and has not yet been approved, I'd like an understanding that if we approve the borrowings, doesn't commit us to actually borrowing for the truck wash, because as the truck wash is at the moment, and as I recorded my vote, it's a dead duck as far as financially viable.
I'll go to our staff for some comments to do with your first question. Councillor? From CE, then we'll continue.
Through
Good
Mr
point.
Mayor, I've spoken to a couple of people, Councillor Veery and a concerned resident at Liston, and our staff and I met a couple of days ago, and what we've come up with, I think council will be very satisfied with, and that is a heat map, so that council can see, and obviously the yay no will have to be confidential, so I don't create any conflict between neighbours or friends and family and so on and so forth, but with a heat map of showing where the responses came from, and right up and down the whole of Mount Lindesay, and also the heat map will also include who got sent the questionnaire and didn't respond. All the comments so far have been kept in a spreadsheet which will be supplied to council. That's every single comment, such that the councillors have an opportunity to view the mood of every resident that's responded. When I was speaking to the concerned resident Liston yesterday, he brought up a couple of irregularities. For example, someone that takes their bin through a TSR or that actually technically doesn't front Mount Lindesay. And my comments were that a heat map and comments based on, if you chop the heat map up based on this assumption, it's this result. If you add this, it's this result. If you add this and this and this, it's this result, so that council can view the response to the survey any way they choose, not just a pie chart or a graph or so on and so forth. With the comments, obviously they'll be confidential. There's some quite cutting comments in relation to it. They'll have to remain confidential so that conflict between people doesn't occur, but at least the councillors will be able to get a really, really good comprehension of what the mood is in different areas. I also spoke yesterday to the resident and said it won't be 100% accurate. That's just about impossible. And staff will do their best to say what the percentage plus and minus will be. So say, for example, it's 50-50 and staff think that's a plus or minus 3% accuracy rate. And the heat map is chopped up A, B, C, D and E, and D is plus or minus 3% and it's 50-50. It'll be between 47 and 53. So the council know that there's a degree of uncertainty with it before they make their decision. There's a lot of challenges in relation to that, because there's people that have got multiple rate notices but only one house. There's people that got multiple houses but only one rate notice. There's people that chose to opt in over the last couple of years that are a long way from Mount Lindsay Road that take their bins to Mount Lindsay Road that are quite happy with that process. And there's people that live right on Mount Lindsay Road that are unhappy with the process. And there's a lot of, there was a lot of problem with the mail out as well. After speaking to the concerned resident yesterday and our manager of governance, the Australia Post system right on the border has got its own peculiarities, and some takes a couple of weeks or 11 days actually to get to people, and other people got it in 3 days, but they're all sent on the same day, so we don't know how that worked. So my commitment to the resident and to council, as with all reports, is we will do our absolute best to supply council with all the information, the best information that we've got. We'll nominate the risk with that information, and we'll do it in the form of a map such that the councillors can see what we think is happening is things like, for example, people that live close to a transfer station have less difficulty getting rid of their waste, and people that live a long way away from a transfer station think the waste service is a great idea. So there's actually different feelings as you go up and down Mount Lindsay, and that'll have to come across to the councillors as well for their decision. And I'll put it over to our Chief Corporate Officer and Governance to comment as well.
Before I do go there, I just need to commend you, Councillor Sawyer, and correct me if I'm wrong, being the mover of some months ago, it got even a bit longer, to try to get to the bottom of something that sounded so easy and so good for that area that's become so problematic, it's unbelievable anyway. But I do note our CE's response and his good work along with our staff in trying to get to the bottom of this. And we won't please everyone, we all know that, but it is something we do want to do right. So we'll go to staff for some comment there to add, if you wish.
I think the only thing to add on that particular item for the CE is that I think that was the question as to whether or not we'll be strictly sticking to the deadline for submissions, and the answer is we'll be as flexible as we possibly can to allow everybody to actually complete their survey. So if anybody has any issues with completing a survey, I think they're going to get it in late or haven't received one, please get them to get in touch with us, and we'll try every means possible to get them a survey and to actually have that included in the results that we put to council. That's one. The second question was about the principal loan repayment. So at this point in time, we do have that active resolution that we will accept the money, which is why it's been included in the budget. Obviously, I think council is receiving another report on that truck wash, which may well make a change to how we move forward. However, the operational plan does need to include any proposed, and I stress proposed, borrowings that we also need to advise the Office of Local Government and the Minister that we intend to pursue within that 12-month period, which is why it's included there.
Thank you, Kylie. With you saying proposed, should that be noted in this report, just on that number 17, just with that one, for clarity?
Well, we currently have an acceptance of funding.
Yes, that's correct.
As I said, and that's the proposed upper limit, I guess. Now, of course, whatever we need to borrow will be impacted on what is the final design
Yep.
that is procured. So we've put the upper limit on it.
Yep.
So all of the borrowings, as I said, are the
Okay.
proposed to meet the operational plan. And a bit like we talked about before, some of those may or may not be amended based on the decisions of council still to come.
Thank you. Councillor Sawyer, are you happy with your responses there to your questions?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors only have questions to do with our operational plan. Councillor Berry.
Just a comment about the mail system up there. It can take more than 11 days. You can get up to 14, 2 weeks.
Yep. And that's the wonderful area we live in. It's another argument about our cross-border area, councillor, and noted. Councillors, any other questions to do with any part of the report? No? Okay. Okay. Okay, councillors, if there's no more questions to our staff or CE to do with our the accepting of our operational plan for 2019-2020, we do need a motion to accept all the amendments, and they are from page 5 through to page, and correct me if I'm wrong, to page 10, yes, 11. I apologise, over the page. So that's what we're accepting, councillors. Got
And including the amendment.
and including the amendments.
Or amendment.
Amendment, I'm sorry. Thank you. 9. Can I have a move and a second there, please? Councillor Murray, thank you. Been the mover, seconded by Councillor Forbes, and I thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. We're done. Councillors, thank you very much, and staff, thank you very much for the job that's gone into our operational plan. And I'll close the meeting, and the meeting's ended. Peace and harmony. I thank you.